Just a quick recap of the game and what happened. First, we thought it would be good to have our final press conference here for the 2020 season and put it to bed and get it behind us, and before we get everybody back to start. The early enrollees will be here on January 16th. The team will be back, I think, the 17th, and we'll start classes on the 19th. So they've got a little break, and it's just been an unbelievable year. The players reported on June 12th and not knowing whether we would even play football or not. And then because of the very intelligent people of the ACC, from John Swofford to presidents, chancellors, and ADs, they allowed us to play. And then we got through the season pretty well as a league, and our team handled it extremely well. Our medical staff handled it well. There were so many days where we didn't know if we were going to practice. We didn't know what that meant. We didn't know how we would eat. We didn't know how we'd dress in a locker room. We didn't know, could we be doing one-on-ones? Could you play football with COVID as it is? Was it safe? What about the heart issues? How long do you have to stay out? Probably one of the most confusing things was contact tracing. That got really confusing with how long you stayed out and what happened. So we were so lucky that our guys took it serious. We had our quick spike in the summer, and from that point forth, we really haven't dealt with much COVID at all. So really, really proud of the players and the coaches and the staff, the medical staff in general, our administration, for allowing us to play, because it was sure healthy for the players. I thought it was healthy mentally and physically. And really, I told them Friday night, thank you for such a wonderful year. Thank you for getting us to the Orange Bowl. And they've turned an awful situation into a blessed football year for us. And it's progress. And the most progress that I see is in 2 or 3 different areas. But number one, they're playing hard all the time, every game, and they're playing with confidence. And whether it's the number 2 team in the country or Western Carolina that didn't have the same players that we did, they played hard, and that's progress. That's something that in TV I didn't see all the time. A lot of Saturdays you see teams that are disinterested. So I'm really, really proud of the culture that they're playing with. And we've made progress. There's no way. We played Clemson last year. I'm not sure Clemson was interested. A&M played hard and had their full team. And 5 minutes left in the game, we got a chance to win against the number 5 team in the country. And we went in shorthanded. So I was really, really proud of our coaches that they didn't whine. They got next man up and had 3 days on offense to adjust a game plan. I see Phil Longo putting in plays on Friday before the game, trying to figure out how we're going to move the ball, but nobody griped. Everybody was ready to go and didn't use it as an excuse and played hard against a really, really good team. A couple of things. We have said that Grayson Atkins is coming back for another year as a senior. Tyrone Hopper is coming back for another year as a senior. Bo Corrales is coming back for another year. We got great news last night that Garrett Walston has decided to come back for another year. So that's really, really cool and positive. He played so well the other night. He's a vital part of our offense. We're getting the ball to the tight end much more now. So that really helps us because we've got some talented young tight ends and another one coming in, but we don't have experience like Garrett. And I think it says a lot for our program that these guys who will not count in the 85 because of the NCAA rule that this year doesn't count are coming back and will give us a stronger senior class. And then the other part of this would be Tamon Fox is considering it. He hasn't made a decision yet. Have made plans to move forward. And the 2 juniors, obviously, that didn't play in the game the other day. But so that would mean that Garrett Walston, Grayson Atkins, Tyrone Hopper, Bo Corrales are all coming back for sure. And Tamon is trying to make a decision whether he will come back or not. So great for that group of seniors that is coming back to add to our senior class. As I said, really proud of the guys for the first major bowl game in 70 years. I told them to get used to this. This is who we want to be. This is what we should be at this school, and we're making progress in that direction. Guys that we don't have players of the game when we lose, but here are guys that we had a long staff meeting this morning. Here are guys that the coaches felt like really played well. So proud of Daz Newsome. Played well on special teams and during the game. He competed every play. Even got banged up a little bit during the game, and you wouldn't know it. He went back and played. Also, Josh Downs. He showed what he can be with two great plays, and the receivers blocked well outside. Garrett Walston, I said, played well. Sam Howell's a superstar that gives us a chance to win every week, and he should be up for every major award next year just because he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country that'll be returning. Marcus McKeithen played the best in the offensive line, so good for Marcus. He stepped up in a very physical, tough game. Defensively, Ray Vahasik played really well. He was so physical and quick in the line of scrimmage, probably changed what they were doing offensively. Eugene Asante was all over the field, led the team in tackles, and good for Tommy Thigpen that he was ready to step in and play and played really, really well. Tony Grimes and Kyler McMichael, we challenged them and Dre a few weeks ago before Notre Dame and said we got to start playing better on those one-on-one balls outside. And those two stepped up. We had a lot of guys in the box. We had to fight to stop their running game, and it put those guys on an island. They have very tough jobs, and both of them did really well. The safeties did a good job, Cam Kelly and Don Chapman, of holding their great tight end down. And then Des Evans played by far his best game. He was very physical against one of the more physical teams in the country. So we felt like that offensively, we were able to throw the ball well. We weren't able to run it like we would have liked to. Defensively, we felt like we played hard and fought and tough. In fact, we played tough in both lines of scrimmage with a chance to win with 5 minutes left and just didn't finish. And you can look at that a lot of different ways. It sounds like an excuse, but we're still playing a lot of young players. Lou Holtz told me young players like to play. They're not sure what winning means yet. And playing a lot of freshmen, sophomores, seniors like to win. But as I told you after the game, it was a very disappointed team in the locker room after the game. So they didn't like the fact that they got close. So we're making progress in that area as well. But very proud of Eugene Asante, and that bodes well for the future for us that he played so well. Special teams were good. We did a better job than them with our special teams. Jonathan Kim continues to kick it out of the back of the end zone. Our punting game was good. Our coverage was outstanding. We had a 23-yard punt return by Daz. So amazingly, our special teams have continued to improve every week, even with the fact that Josh Henderson and British Brooks and Eugene Asante weren't able to play on special teams, and they were three of our best players. So a lot of guys stepped up, and again, that goes back to the next man up theory. So looking at where we are offensively, Phil Longo said we'd have a big jump in our second year, and we did that. We're fifth in the NCAA in total offense, first in the ACC, 537 yards, scoring 41 points a game. It's second in the ACC and 10th in the NCAA. Rushing offense at 235 yards, 11th in the NCAA and second in the ACC. Passing offense 301, 18th nationally and second in the ACC. Passing efficiency 8th nationally, first in the ACC, and first downs at 317, second nationally and number one in the ACC. So that's tremendous progress, and proud of those guys. It's the first Power 5 team since Oklahoma in 2016 to have two 1,000-yard rushers. Last time we did it, we've done it 5 times in our history. The last time we did it was with Curtis and Leon Johnson back in 1993. So that shows that we're continuing to run the ball better, and that's something we've got to do to to get where we want to. In the games that we didn't play as well or that we lost this year, we didn't run the ball as well as the opponent. And that just gets more obvious every week. That's important. We had a 1,000-yard receiver and 3,000 yards with 4 different players. So that's pretty cool. Now we're losing all those guys, and we'll have to have replacements step up for sure. But we're the first ACC team to do that since 2004 offensively. So it's a great sign. We challenged our team to step up and be as physical or more physical than one of the toughest teams in the country, and I thought they did that. Just gave out at the end. So we've got to continue to recruit. We've got to build depth. We talk about that constantly, but I thought we had the one play touchdown to Josh Downs, and then they have a long drive, and then we have a 3 and out. So that put our defense in a tough spot. We were kind of worn out that last 5 plays, and the running back that came in for Spiller was really, really good. He's fast. We recruited him. We had him on campus. He's one of the fastest kids in the country. So he made the long run that ended up breaking our back. But the defense got better throughout the year. We're really excited about the mix of the young, talented guys coming in with the veterans that we have that continue to get stronger and better. Guys that played well on special teams. Day Hollins was probably the best, but Don Chapman, Cam Kelly, Jaquarius Conley, and Daz Newsome all stepped up in special teams roles. And again, because of a lack of depth, some of the defensive backs kind of wore down at the end. So we've got to have more guys playing. But this senior class went from 2 wins 2 years ago to 15, from no bowls to 2 bowls in 2 years, when I'm including the Orange Bowl. So it's a special time for us moving forward and taking a lot of momentum into spring practice. You want to win your last game like we did last year. And when you don't, you can use it as a motivator to have a chip on your shoulder because you want to finish right. And we were the last bowl game before the national championship game on a huge stage. So the guys understand what that means now. And the Orange Bowl, Capital One Orange Bowl, treated these kids and our staff so well, even though it wasn't a normal bowl week. They still got a lot of gifts, and they had some fun things when they were down there. And they had a dinner when we got there on Thursday night on Zoom, and they had a great entertainer that had the guys laughing for about an hour. So they did a lot of fun things for the guys, and they enjoyed their trip as well. 12 early enrollees, again, will come on the 16th. So we're excited about them. There's 6 on offense and 6 on defense. And I think we said this before, but J.J. Jones will be in that group. So 12 of the 18 will be here. There'll be 6 that will come for the summer. But those guys will have a chance in spring practice to really step up. And I can't imagine, since we were allowed to play in the fall, that we won't be allowed to play this spring, regardless of where we are with COVID and the vaccine at that time. So we're planning on spring practice. Right now, it would start March 23rd, and we would have our spring game April 24th. Recruiting continues to be different for the 22 class, just because you're not really sure how many numbers you're going to have based on the new formulas by the NCAA. I think they will clarify that later in the spring. And we're having to do it all on Zoom, obviously. And there are things you can do, but they still can't be on campus and will not be on campus until at least April 15th. So we will not be able to go watch the North Carolina guys play or the Virginia guys play as of right now this spring. So that'll be tougher for evaluations, and it's obviously uncertain what will happen with our camps or our high school clinic this spring, because there are just still too many unanswered questions about when we will get back to some normalcy with all of the COVID stuff. As of right now, our coaches are all staying. As I said, I told you a week before Javante left. As of right now, anything can happen in coaching. Somebody may call this afternoon right when I get off the call. But as far as right now, we're settled as a staff. I like our coaches. I think they've done a very good job. I want them all to stay. We'll add to their contracts. We've got a lot of great things going, and next year we've got some challenges to replace some people that are leaving, but we should have a chance to be a real special team. You'll see some guys leaving our program here over the next week or two, getting in the portal. Most of them graduate transfers, a few that aren't playing as much as they would like. And we've been very open and honest with everybody, and we'll help them get places to go. And that's a high priority for us, that we help our guys get to another university, whether they're a graduate or not, to try to make sure that they have an opportunity to continue to play. And then what we will do, there's a craziness out there with the transfer portal right now, and especially with the young guys being allowed to transfer and play immediately. So we've had a lot of guys calling us. We can't talk to them unless they're in the portal. A lot of them call your players that are buddies and say, can we come? So we have some scholarships available, and we'll continue to look at the portal to see if there's some needs that we might need to fill over the next week or two. Questions?
All right, gang, go ahead and raise your hands and we'll start moving through it. One clarification I did want to make for Coach, the stat he was mentioning about first Power 5 team since Oklahoma and the first ACC team since at least 04 is having 2,000-yard backs, a 1,000-yard receiver, and a 3,000-yard passer from 4 different players. So pretty good stuff.
Jeremy's clearing me up, cleaning my stuff up.
Just helping you out a little bit there, Coach.
Thank you, Jeremy.
That was a long, convoluted one.
That was. You wrote it all down for me, and I don't read well.
All right, we'll start off with Andrew Jones. Go ahead and unmute yourself, and go ahead.
Hey, Coach, obviously you would have liked to have had the opted out guys for the game, but now that you're into the next season, essentially, you've cut the cord to last season. How valuable was it to get all that film on Eugene and some of the other guys, and how it will aid you gearing towards spring practice and beyond?
Andrew, we basically played with next year's team the other night. So it gives us valuable evaluations for a lot of guys. Some of those young receivers were out there that Justin Olson's playing, and Antoine Green hadn't played very much, and they're getting a lot of plays. So that lets us know what they need, where they are, what they need to work on, what they need to do better. British Brooks and Josh Henderson did everything right. They knew what to do. They were well prepared. They protected well. So what we've got to do now is take what we saw Saturday night and reevaluate everybody. And I ask our coaches today, be really hard on yourself and your unit and see what you're doing well and what you're not and what we need to improve on. So let's be very critical of ourselves as a group, me included, and see what we need to push ourselves to improve on in the fall. But Eugene was probably the most positive thing that came out of the game from an unknown personnel perspective, because I think he's got a chance to be really good.
You also mentioned how the guys were disappointed after the game about being close. How does that speak to their confidence and sort of the culture changing within the program, where now they expect to not just be close to the game like that, but maybe win? Was there a turning point this season where you saw that kind of take a step to the next level where it is now?
Yes, Andrew, I felt like it was at Florida State. Sometimes you have to take a loss to wake you up, and we're walking around feeling good about ourselves and fifth in the country, and we were feeling better about ourselves than we were playing. And it's hard for me to explain to them, hey, you're not that good, man. Come on now, because you don't want to tell them they're not good enough, but you want to be honest and fair. So after the game, I was able to say, Pac-12 and Big Ten aren't even playing. And we're 3-0, so sure, we're top 5. Let's be honest with ourselves here. We didn't play like a top 5 team. So, and we did a lot of great things at Florida State, but you get a punt block to start the game and they score on the first play. And in the 2 games we lost, other than Notre Dame and Texas A&M, we turned the ball over and they ran it better than we did. I mean, that's what happens. Everybody says, how can you do that? Well, it just happens. Every week there's upsets, and usually they're because people fumble the ball or there's kicking game mistakes. So I think that was the week that we realized if that's what we want to be, we'll be okay, and maybe fight to get to a bowl, or you can be real good. And then after that, we got better each week. Even at Virginia, we have 2 turnovers and down on their end of the field, or we win that game, and we didn't force turnovers. So and we gave up a big play. So I think the biggest part of this has been learning what it takes to win, and understanding that what you've got to put forth to win. In the locker room after the game, I could very easily say, you're 5 minutes from beating the number 5 team. You took the number 3 team for 3, or number 2 team for 3 quarters. So here's what we've got to do to get from where we are to where we're going. We don't want to lose close to a top 10 team, top 5 team. We want to be that team. So let's learn from these games. So the 2 things that I'm most excited about, or maybe even 3. Number 1, they're playing hard at practice every day and in the games. And that's very hard to get your team to do. It doesn't sound like it's hard, but it is very hard every day. That is a culture. And the second thing is have enough confidence to think that you're going to win, but be disappointed if you're not. I want our fans expecting us to win. I want our players expecting us to win. And I want people disappointed when we don't. And what we've all got to do is when we don't perform well, call ourselves out. Be honest. We're not going to call young people out because these aren't pro players, but we can say what we did well and what we got to get fixed. And our expectations will be high next year, but we got a lot of work to do. We lost 4,000 yards the other night that we won't have next fall. That's a lot to all those stats I gave. That's a whole lot to improve on. But it starts with your quarterback, and we've got one of the best in the country. So it gives us a head up. It starts with an offensive line that technically is going to be the same for 3 years. We lost Charlie Heck as a starter. But everybody else, this will be the 3rd season. We've got the same offensive line, which is really cool. And they know we've already been over the 3rd and 1 and why we didn't make it, or 4th and 1. They get it now. We didn't get it the first year. This year we're learning. We know what it takes now to make that play. And when you don't make it, it puts more emphasis on it for the spring. But I do feel like that Garrett Walston coming back's huge. Man, it's huge for us. He knows what to do. He'll let the young tight ends grow up. So our deficiencies are evident right now. We've got to fix that this spring. But I can't wait to get back to spring practice. Just sitting out there in my office this morning, looking into Kenan Stadium and envisioning the excitement we're going to have for an opening ball game here next year is just really cool. And we couldn't have done that 2 years ago. So I can't wait for spring, but even more to get fans back in the stands. And it sounds like we'll have a chance to do that next year. I am so excited about that. So pumped.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
That was a
40-minute
answer over a 40-minute answer over a 15-second question, right? But it. Sorry.
Luke, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hey, Coach, based off these last 2 years, it seems like you'd be a great candidate as an author to write a book on how to take a struggling college football team and transform them into a potential national contender. If you were to describe kind of the chapter the Heels are on right now, and then what are the next couple of chapters, or how would you describe the next couple of steps that your team and your program needs to take in order to transform? Kind of what would you talk about?
Luke, when you look at Notre Dame and Texas A&M, who will probably both finish, Texas A&M will probably they'll be 4th or 3rd, wherever they end up. They're so big and powerful in both lines of scrimmage. So we've got to get stronger and build more depth. A&M's rotating big guys in that defensive line throughout the night. I thought we might wear them down, and they kept bringing in guys that look like the others. And that's what we've got to be able to do. And that's why spring practice is vital. We're probably the thinnest in our backup offensive linemen. But we'll have Ed Montelis back for the spring, and that'll really help us. After his upper body injury, he didn't get to play for the last 4 or 5 games, and Ed'll be going into his 3rd year. But I really think we've got to continue to build those two lines of scrimmage. If you look at the teams that are still playing in the playoff, the top four, they've got great lines of scrimmage and they've got outstanding quarterbacks. 3 of the 4 quarterbacks playing in the playoff were up for the Heisman. And Ian Book won 30 games and lost 4. So he could have very well been in the Heisman race as well. So we've got the quarterback. We've got the lines of scrimmage. Now we've got to continue to build on them and get stronger. We missed the off-season program last year. We missed summer workouts as such, the way we normally have them. So I thought it was an amazing job that our Brian Hess and our strength staff did, because we had very few soft tissue injuries this fall. And without work in the spring and the summer, I thought that would be a disaster for us, but really, really proud of those guys that did that. But I think, to answer your question, both lines of scrimmage and continue to grow at quarterback. We also have to get the guy to get ready to take Sam's place, because Sam's been such an impactful player for us. And the last part of that, Luke, is I want to take us places we've never been. Saturday night, we were at a place we'd never been in modern day football. And we had a chance to win, and that would have taken us another step. But we'd be standing here talking about the same issues if we had won the game. We've got to grow as a program, not a game. And that's what we've got to do. We can't, we're at a point now, we don't need to lose any games. And to do that, we've just got to keep growing as a player. As a coach, we'll probably get better after the loss than we would have after the win, because we'll have the guys' attention. And they'll work harder to improve after losing than they would have if we'd won and everybody was bragging on them.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Luke.
Alyssa Ray, you're up. Taylor Vipowitz, you're up next.
Coach, they say success breeds success. To finish the season in a big-time bowl game, what does that do as far as recruiting and exposure for this program?
Alyssa, I try to answer all my text messages. I've had so many after the game talking about how hard our team plays. And that's, I haven't seen the ratings. That's probably the most people ever watch a Carolina football game. And we were the last ball game of the year going into the national championship game. So it's a tremendous boost for recruiting. Kids want to play with programs that are on the rise, and this one is. And they know that. And our guys are having fun. And our guys brag on each other, and they're showing class. And I'm just so proud of them that's what makes recruiting easy, because people see a program they want to be part of. And they saw that we had some adversity that popped up right before the bowl game. Our guys didn't care. Our coaches didn't care. They went to play. And they also saw that even the 4 guys that are leaving, I hope they make a whole lot of money. So right now, we're looking hard at these numbers, because now you have to recruit the guys that can beat the Notre Dames and recruit the guys that can beat the Texas A&M. So you're going to turn down some guys probably now that you would have taken last year or the year before, because we're looking at a different set of goals. And that's really important for us moving forward.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Alyssa.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned challenging the corners before the Notre Dame game. How did you see Tony Grimes grow as a player this season, and then more specifically over the past month or so?
Yes, Taylor, let me say Kyler and Tony first, but both of them, because Storm got hurt, and I wished he could have played the other night. He'll be back in the spring. He just wasn't ready. Every time he'd go out to practice, he'd be a little sore, and he couldn't compete. So we lost a great corner at Boston College. Seems like that was 3 years ago, and he didn't get to play. So he'll be back for spring. And Kyler didn't play very much. He didn't play. He was on special teams at Clemson, and then he sits out a year. So his progress, and then he hurts his knee a little bit and misses a week or two. But Tony Grimes, who called me this morning, by the way, out of the blue, to thank me for him having such a wonderful experience in he called it his freshman year. I say, it's really your senior and high school year. I guess we've got to quit calling you that now. You'll be an 18-year-old sophomore here in a couple of weeks. But he's mad at himself. He nearly intercepts the ball in the game the other night that could have clinch the game on our end. He covers the guys like a blanket. The corner blitz that he made to run Mons down from behind was a freakish play. So I think we're seeing one of the great corners potentially in this country moving forward. He's going to be fun to watch this spring. And he's gained maybe 20 pounds already, and he's getting some strength. And I would and not only put him on a college team, having handled COVID, new roommates, a preseason that he didn't know he was going to have till probably late summer. And here he is being one of the bright spots moving forward for our team. And he's so excited about his signing class coming in. He doesn't have a signing class. He came by himself. So he's already got his roommates set up. He'll be here when those guys come in on the 16th, because he can't wait to see them.
Thank you.
Thank you, Taylor.
Dina King, you're up next.
Hey, Coach. Congrats on this year. My question is, what position group improved the most from the beginning of the season to the end of the Texas A&M game?
Dina, that's a good question. Let me think about it, because I want to give a right answer. I would say offensively, we were older and experienced, so it wouldn't be on offense. But defense in a lot of areas, our defensive line did not play well early. We weren't in the gaps. We weren't playing low, so we came so far in that area. Chaz and Gimmel play the same every week, so we couldn't say them. And I would think probably the secondary, just because when we lost Miles Woolfolk, that was a real loss, because he was the old head back there that made all the calls and kept everybody together. And then we got in a position where we had young guys back there, and then they got banged up and hurt. And Wake Forest game, we had some guys just running wide open. And after that, they really settled down and started communicating better. And the other night, we had a couple of big plays where we had some communication issues, but by and large, the secondary has really improved. The other thing, Dina, that you've got to be able to do to win in big time college football right now is you've got to be able to put corners on their best receivers and play them well. And we did that the other night. We could play 9 around the box enough to try to handle the run, but we also were in a position where you got to cover those guys one-on-one, and it has to be 80-20 balls in your direction. It can't be the other. The other thing that I didn't realize, 2 things that I should have mentioned about our defense. Texas A&M only had 15 3-and-outs all year, and we had 5 the other night. So at times we played them really, really well. And we also had 36 sacks this season, which is the most a team at North Carolina's had since 2000. And Tamon Fox just tied Lawrence Taylor's sack record. Now that's really cool. But we had a lot more sacks than were publicized or than I talked about this year. And we're starting to get players that can create those sacks without scheme. And that's going to really help us with our defense.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Andrea Adelson, you're up.
Hey, Mac, thanks for doing this. You said earlier, we're at a point now where we don't need to lose any games. And I'm just curious how that means the expectation level and the challenge for the players in the off-season maybe changes things compared to this past off-season, when I think you said many times you guys were learning how to win.
Yeah, Andrea, we're still not there, obviously. We lost Saturday night when we had a chance to win. But when you're looking at Clemson, who still is recruiting at the highest level, and they're a great team. You're looking at Notre Dame. We play those 2 for sure. Everything we do in this program needs now to be at a point, is that good enough to get to a playoff? Is that good enough to win a national championship? Instead of, let's keep learning. Come on now. Let's get better. That's not good enough. We know what good enough is. The good enough is Texas A&M. The good enough is Notre Dame. The good enough is Clemson. So if that's our goal, and if we're going to be a major college football team, that should be our goal. And if it is, then we've got to practice like it. We've got to recruit like it. And we've got to play like it.
You good, Andrew?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Andrew.
CL Brown, you're up.
Hi, Mac. I was wondering what parallels, if any, do you see with kind of how the momentum is building in the program now and your first stint in Chapel Hill, like around 96, 97, when you guys were able to crack into the top 10 to go from kind of the, middle teens ranked program to breaking through to the top 10?
CL, I'm glad you prefaced that by saying 95 and 96 instead of 88 and 89. Because there was no momentum. It was, is he going to stay? Is he going to quit? Is awful. But I think it's very similar right now to the momentum. The difference is your world is different, and that makes our world different. You get more national publicity now in the ACC than you did but before. This league got so much more respect this year than we had in our past because football's good in this league, and it's something that people are looking forward to. So I think they see that we do have a chance to move forward, and that we do have a chance to be good, and because of all the social media and the national media and going to an Orange Bowl and keeping everybody's attention until there were 5 minutes left in a game that nobody gave us a chance to win. I think that gives us a chance to continue to grow. Now, with that, I've learned this before at one of the previous stops I had. With those high expectations come more opinions. With those high expectations is more anger after a loss. And even after you win, people start questioning what you do because nothing's ever good enough. And I got that, but that's what we want. I mean, that's what comes with high expectations. So we want people that care. We want people that have opinions, and CL right now we're getting that, and that's what we need.
And just one follow. So when things quote unquote go back to normal, able to have spring practice and things like that moving forward, is there anything that you will take from all of the protocols and precautions and approaches from this pandemic season that you'll keep in place, that you thought was good for the team going forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the answer is yes. I'm not sure what all that means yet because I'll have a chance now in the next 10 days to reflect. But we had our staff meeting this morning on Zoom. So our coaches have to be mentally exhausted from our world changing that day this spring, all of us. Our lives are different, and we can sit here and talk about the 97 reasons our lives are different, and things have been harder. But we had a great staff meeting this morning on Zoom, and we're talking about, will we have our staff meeting the day before the guys come back on Zoom, because we'll be gone for 11 days, 10 days, and we will not be able to take our COVID test. So we've got to come back and take a COVID test before we can have the next staff meeting, and then meet the players, the incoming players who will have to take a COVID test as well. So I think the first thing is we might even have some meetings with the players this spring on Zoom, because we could show video. The players and the coaches will Zoom a lot at night. We'll still have our early morning practices this spring. So instead of bringing them back over, we may, a lot of them live off campus. So we can just have our player meetings after practice on Zoom instead of having everybody come back over, and it's easier and more convenient for the players. So and recruits haven't even seen our facilities. We've redone our whole building and nobody's seen it. So we're like little kids at Christmas trying to get people in here to see it. Come on, man. In fact, we've got early enrollees that haven't seen it, which is so crazy. But we're looking at a lot of different things in recruiting that we think are creative, and but our whole world's changed to some ways. And we've all got to take the best possible things that we learned during this awful period in our lives to see if it'll help us more. Is this good enough for press conferences for the rest of our lives, or will we go back to face-to-face? I mean, it's just, it would have been very difficult for you all to have Coach Williams' press conference and then have to change and come over here. Or if you're going to an NC State, a Duke, and a Wake press conference and ours, will we set them up now so you can see all four instead of having to go to one because we all work together and get them at different times so it's easier in your lives? I think all of those are things we've all, what this means. What can we take out of this that's positive?
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, CL.
We got Ross Martin up next.
All right, I got a few short ones for you here, Mac. First, I mean, what do you think that the mindset was with Garrett Walston coming back, and what was that conversation like? And kind of the same thing about what Tamon's thinking about. What's that conversation look like?
Ross, I love Garrett Walston. He's tall, he can run, he's got length. He really blocked well for us. And I thought because we had lost Bo Corrales and because we had lost Diami the other night and our two backs, it put us in a position that he became a go-to guy. So I think coming out of that game, he feels like, and we feel like, that he can be a special player for us next year. And he wants to be drafted. And if he didn't feel like that the messages he's getting from the NFL were such that might be a great possibility now by coming back and getting stronger and working with a pro coach in John Lilly, he feels like that he could enhance his opportunities. And I do think that weirdly enough, losing that game the other night, he walked out of there saying, you know, this can be a really special place and we can have a great year next year, and I want to be part of it. And that was the conversation I had with him last night.
And then Tamon Fox, any insight you can give us on that conversation?
No, and mine was a text back and forth. If you know Garrett well enough, I think he and Brian and some of the guys are hunting. Is where they are. So we were texting back and forth. Garrett's not a big talker, so we were texting back and forth. But I've talked to him last week some, and he was struggling before the game about what should I do. And I said, you know, man, we want you to come back, but this is on you. I have been in programs who convinced guys to come back that weren't sure they wanted to, and it did not work. So we want guys that consciously decide to come back on their own. And Tamon's in that same place. I talked to Tamon after Saturday's game, and all I said was, hey, great game tonight. You just tied Lawrence's record, and that's pretty cool since Lawrence Taylor is one of the best to ever play this game. So congrats to you. And then he's been in the same process. They've been processing over time, like Garrett, what's my NFL opportunity now? Would it help me to come back? But I do think these seniors coming back, not talking about Tamon, but the other seniors coming back is a show that they are very excited about the chance for this team to be really good next year.
And then I know you mentioned it briefly, but the transfer market and the grad transfer market, I mean, what's the approach on y'all side, like the timeline for that, and kind of how you evaluate your roster and finding pieces that can add to your roster for next season?
Yeah, Ross, it's a great question, and I'll try to explain it this way. Number one, if you sign a grad transfer, he counts towards your 85, but he does not count against your 22 recruiting class. So he would be a one-year player that comes in and fills in with a need if you've got some great young players, but you don't have an older guy in that group yet. If you sign a transfer, then he'll probably be eligible immediately with this new rule, but he counts against your 22 signing class because he takes a spot on your team. So that means if we take a transfer, he better be good enough that we're not going to recruit a 22 in his place. And that's the dilemma you go through. The other thing is, if the grad transfer can come in January and go through spring practice, that's better than if a guy has to go through spring to graduate and then you don't get him until May. So then you've got to decide, is he going to be better without spring practice than a guy that's a young guy on your team that's growing up? And if it's just a normal transfer, he better be better than the guy that you signed last year or the one that you're going to sign if he's an undergraduate, because he is like a signee. And is he good enough to beat those top 10 teams we're talking about? So that's kind of the process we're going through. It's I'm not sure I like what's happening right now, because we're getting so many calls from people, player calling saying, my high school buddy is going in the portal, would you take him? And we can't even answer, because until they're in the portal, we can't do anything. So it's just a crazy time right now with guys going in the portal all over the place. And that's why we've tried to be so open and transparent with our players and say, if you want to go in the portal, that's okay, but tell us so we can help you. I don't want to read on something on the internet where you're in the portal and you didn't tell us. Let us help you. That's what we'll do. And so far, I think that everybody on our team that is wanting a different opportunity has been very honest with us, and we're helping them.
Great. And finally, obviously you've seen the news about Texas parting ways with Tom Herman. He was a grad assistant under you. Your comments on Texas' decision, that job, Tom Herman, and obviously they're hiring Steve Sarkisian.
Yeah, Ross, number one, you never like to see coaches let go. It affects staff members. It affects families. It affects the person, the head coach, that everybody says, well, he gets a bunch of money. You know, there's some emotional damage when you're let go, because you feel like you failed, and it's not good. So I hate it. I hate it whenever I see it across the country. And our coaches would tell you too. That's why assistant coaches leave. They go to different places because they don't have big contracts like head coaches. So they're not in a position just to eat. They have to worry about their families and take care of them. And I really haven't talked to anybody out there, because we were at the bowl game and been very busy. So I don't know anything about it. Tom worked for us, so I like Tom, and I just hate it. I'm sure Coach Sarkisian will do a great job. He's a tremendous coach. I don't know him really well, but he was on the staff when we played them USC in the national championship game. And he's doing a great job with the offense at Alabama.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's move to Adam Smith. We got two more, Coach. Adam Smith, you're up.
Mac, when you decided to leave TV and make the jump back into college coaching and take over a program that had won 5 games in the previous 2 years, what did you have a conversation with yourself about what you thought success would look like in year 1, year 2, year 3? Did you try to think about that and sort of factor that out? And how do you think what is happening now squares with maybe what you thought about, this would look like then?
Adam, most of my friends said, have you lost your mind? You're sitting around on TV talking about games, man. You're crazy. You've gone nuts. I love to build things. I love to fix things. And I love this place. I love Chapel Hill. I love this university. When we were here before, we were really torn when we left. And that's been over talked about. But I really, it sounds self-serving, but I don't think we would have gone anywhere else but this one. In fact, I know we wouldn't, because Sally wasn't going anywhere else but this one when we were coming back. What I felt was that the biggest need when we were here before was to learn to win. And sometimes in learning to win, you have to take small victories off the field and then in the games that aren't even winning. We stopped the run better this week, so that's a win. And then we crazily jumped out and beat South Carolina and Miami. I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked because I didn't see it coming at all. And then we lose to Wake Forest, who's good. And then we lose to Appalachian, who's good. I didn't see that coming either, because after we'd beaten South Carolina and Miami, I thought, okay, man, hey, we're on a run here. We're better than I thought we were going to be. And then we got back down to earth, and then here comes Clemson. And actually, I try to tell the players each week, I tell them, I'd rather be with you than them. Well, when Clemson came up, I said, very honestly, I'd rather have them than you. Now, you'd probably rather have Dabo than me, but they're better than we are. So facts, and they'd all say facts. I got it, that's fair. And then they play their little tails off to give themselves a chance to win. So I think, Adam, more than anything else, is that we are way ahead of where I thought we would be. And I mean, way ahead. To think that we would be sitting here playing in an Orange Bowl the second year, it's not even close. And the other thing I'm seeing, we're looking like a better football team when we walk out on the field. We've got really good looking players. The other night, we lost some significant players. We still didn't look like we were a misfit in that game. Confidence, and we've got to do a better job as coaches of helping them get where they want to go. But I'm really excited. I couldn't be more excited after the second year. And like I said, if we'd have won the other night, we'd have had more excitement. There'd be more people pumped. But then I think it probably would have gotten unrealistic. We still are who we are. And we still got some things we got to fix. And I say we do want to win every game. We expect to win every game. We're not ready to yet. We've proven that. And that's what spring's for. We've got to keep working. But that has to be our goal. And that hasn't been the goal for a while here. So that's still something that we're trying to change the mindset of everybody involved with this program.
Thank you, Adam. Coach, we'll close up with David Hale. We got about 3 minutes.
David, he said, be brief, Mac.
Well, you can just call me up. We'll talk as long as you want, Mac. You can hang out with me for as long as you want. You were talking about some things that might kind of hold over from this season. And one of the things that I think we largely accepted because it was such a crazy year was the amount of guys who either opted out before the season, midway through the year, and certainly into the bowl game. You guys had a chance to win a bowl that, as you pointed out, is the biggest game that you guys have played at North Carolina in a long time, with a number of guys that opted out. Who knows what might have happened if those guys had played. I wonder what your feeling is on that moving forward. Do you think that those kind of opt-outs, and particularly at the end of a season or a bowl game, will be an ongoing problem or issue? And how can that be resolved, particularly when I think, even in the media, maybe we have not really played up the bowl games outside of the playoff necessarily as much as you guys inside various programs that are playing in those games might.
Yeah, David, another great question. I told our coaches the other day that we could have opt-outs now with 1-year transfers in preseason. We can have a guy that has a great game at midseason and some agent or some person convinces he and his family that's enough. You got enough video, so you don't have to play anymore. You can have guys that opt out before the bowl game, or you can have guys that leave for the NFL afterwards. And then the other night we saw an Oklahoma State player that decided to play half the game and not play the second half. So this is totally different than anybody's ever dealt with. I think the number one thing we need to do is look at the expansion of the playoff. Not one playoff player opted out. Now, why guys aren't opting out of the playoff, but they are top bowl games, I don't know. Because it's all about getting hurt, and you can sure get hurt in the playoff. Secondly, when we expand that, that'll help some of the bowls. And then I think we've got to keep pushing the other bowls. Bowls have to be fun again, and they have to be important. And I think you're right, David. We don't talk about much. We only talk about the January 6 bowls for sure, but we really talk about the Final Four. And I think that's got to become important. Now, A&M didn't have any opt-out. So I don't know. I think teams have to decide what's the most important thing for them, and it will not change that individual players get to make individual decisions for themselves. And we'll be more prepared for this next year if it happens than we were this year. Because number one, I never had it happen. Number two, I didn't see it coming like it happened. And then number three, we're not far enough along with our program to just stick guys in for guys that had gained 4,000 yards. We're not there yet. And every year we'll play more players and we'll be more likely to be ready for a circumstance like that. Jeremy, was that 3 minutes?
I think you nailed it. Did you have a timer?
Yeah, it's called ESPN. 12
I'm
second
here.
sound
Hurry it
bites.
up. Wrap it up, Coach. Wrap it up.
All right, folks. Appreciate you. Jeremy and I were talking this morning, and I don't get to see everything you write. He does, and he said that he thought that you had been more than fair. We appreciate that. We always want to do everything we can do to help you do your job, and at the same time keep the integrity of our program and the players especially in context, and not everything that they, if they play poorly, I'm not going to stand up here and call out players for playing poorly. I'm going to put that back on us. But appreciate you. We'll have another update before spring practice. I don't know if we'll sign anybody else in the second signing date. We're looking at a few high school players also. And obviously that counts against your 22 group whenever they tell us how many we can sign there. So we've got to look at that, but we continue to try to fill our needs. But if you need something, just call Jeremy and I'll try to get it to you. But let's hope COVID goes away here pretty soon, or we can get safe with whatever the next step is. And again, keep the thoughts and prayers for those healthcare workers and first responders and our military, because they don't get to have holidays like the rest of us. So stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.